My goodness, we are already on 1.22.0 release candidate 6. My goodness, we're getting close to a stable release, but I have to say that the level of detail in this release is quite astonishing. So to start with, they have begun adding more blocks in preparation for a more dynamic dungeon pieces, which is aged banners, contaminated iron clutter, contaminated coal, and ruined bloomery pieces. Oh my goodness. That sounds like a lot of distressing or rotted features there. I wonder if we will be able to use any of them and whether they will be of use to me, because as you know, I like complete pieces. There are people who love the ancient clutter, I have to say. Now they've also changed fish again. Fish can now be cooked whole, which takes less time than cooking fillets individually. Whole cooked fish cannot, however, be used in a cooking pot, nor can they be divided into fillets after cooking. So like me, sometimes you've seen me on my playthrough on map 7, you've seen me desperate for food, but I've still filleted the fish and cooked them. And in this iteration, I can just bung them straight on the fire and get a whole cooked fish, which is probably delicious. Now, they've tweaked something on performance. They have reduced the startup times during asset loading, 26S to 7S with some mod packs. Okay, so that's contributed by Tetelev, interesting name, with adjustments by my mate Radfast. They have reduced unnecessary arrays created by block interaction help, and there's been a minor server boost in many areas which would reduce unneeded array initialization. And I do remember in release candidate 5 they'd done a lot of work on servers, which I think will help everybody. Now there's another tweak that crushed items and flour items now use a solid texture rather than one that is mostly transparent, thus allowing the solid texture to be used in containers. Interesting. As a result, the crushed and flour models have also changed and have more polys. All crushed items also now use the normal model. Okay, right, well I have to say I can't resist this. Let's go into game mode 2, which is the creative set, and let's have a look at flour. I think they said was one of them, wasn't it? Flour. That looks the same to me. That's interesting. Flour items use a solid texture. Okay, well look, let's give that a try. Let me come out of 5. Here we go. Okay. It's a bit difficult in this light, but do you see the difference? I mean, it looks very, very nice. I must admit, it looks really nice. So let's have another look at crushed. Whoops, not me. This one. So if we look at, crushed lapis lazuli, why not? Again, looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I don't see the difference, but I like the look of it. Let's come back to where I can chat to you again. So that looks very nice to me. Right, the container, barrel and crate shape UVs have been adjusted to be centered within the texture rather than in a corner. I wonder what that is. Let's just have a look. That looks just the same to me. I mean, the barrels do look nice, so I'm happy with that. Right, many more items and blocks will now show textures in crates and barrels, mostly crates. Okay. They should fix getting kicked from a server, breaking some repairable clutter box. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be deep underground trying to get hold of some particularly nice piece of clutter and get kicked off the server. That's a good one to fix. They have fixed Z fighting on large ruin crate. The warmth values of rawhide, mantle and tunic were reversed. Also, the rawhide mantle was not worn in the right layer. It's now in the upper body cover. Guys, I have to have a look. I didn't even know there was a rawhide mantle. That's a term. Now what's happened? Right, let's go to E, and I want rawhide. Trousers. Oh, that's the mantle. And a tunic. Oh, look at that. Okay. Right, so where does that get worn? Let's have a look at C. So this tunic, rawhide mantle, that is really nice actually. A rawhide mantle, heavily worn. Max wore 3 degrees warmth. Now where does that go? It goes, yeah, where does it go? Ah, it goes in there. So my commoner shirt would give max warmth of 2, whereas this rawhide mantle gives a max warmth of 3. Okay, so things I didn't know about that. A rawhide mantle. Oh, look at this. You make it from the hides. Wow. Now, you've always been able to make a nice fur coat, but this actually gives 3 degrees of warmth. That really does look quite special, doesn't it? I'm liking that a lot. Well, I hadn't known about that. I don't know whether that's new or not, but whatever was wrong with it has been fixed. So I'm very, happy about that. Good. So moving on down, it's worn in upper body cover. Yeah, we can confirm it is now worn in the right place. Armour stands were missing localisation for their wear locations. That's been fixed. Age thatch roof tips had unnaturally dark faces. That's been fixed. Now on the village hosting dashboard, world settings, so that, yeah, when changing the playstyle, the default playstyle values were not updated, okay? And when creating a single player world and after click apply on world settings and then changing the playstyle would not apply the default playstyle values. Now, I was quite concerned about that. So I have had a look at that on my own world. I've actually come out and had a look at my world settings, and they are exactly as I had wanted them and set them up. But I think it's something that if it was altering things or not altering things, that's a really good one to fix. They fixed that milking an animal would not always give you fresh milk, and they'd fixed that berry bush cutting had collision boxes. There's also a nasty crash when opening the world settings screen on the vintage hosting dashboard, which has been fixed. So that's good as well. Now, when spilling liquids on the ground on larger servers, low server tick rate, it may have spawned water source blocks in your inventory. Good grief. That has been fixed, so that looks better. And the quenching buffs on some tools applied multiple times during crafting, that's been fixed. My goodness, they've been working hard on this. Ground processing can now specify a sound to play upon completion, whether or not to transfer the freshness and surfaces that are valid for the interaction. So, yeah, because we've you know, there's been a lot of ground processing added to this game. So, for example, you know, I suspect when you're filleting fish or scraping hides, you can specify a sound to play on completion. Whether or not to transfer the freshness and what surfaces are valid for the interaction. I suspect this thing about surfaces is going to become more interesting, because I noticed that in my current world, in this 1.22 update, I was able to process iron that I dug out of the ground by putting them in my crafting grid. I think that's going to stop in future. I think we may have to bang them on a stone to process them. That's only my own opinion. Right, moving on. There are 1.22 related changes. Item clutter is now cabinet placeable if the appropriate size. I tell you, these cabinets are going to be stuffed with goodies. I mean, I particularly like this pile of rusty gears, but we're going to be able to put clutter in there. So that should be interesting. And another one is that berry bushes, which we always had to place in medium soil, because these soils in front of me here are medium, high fertility and terra preta. We can now put berry cuttings in low fertility soil. Now that's a huge change, and that will make life easier for some people. I know on my own world I had to sort of run up the coast to find an area of medium soil and bring it back to my farm. So I think that's a good tweak. And also it should show the number of days left on berry bushes. Yes, look at that. For certain stages. So if I just go forwards a bit here. Yeah, can you see? Berry bushes grows in about 11 days. They should all be the same because I planted them on the same day. But you can see that it's going to be 11 days till the next update. I think that's really helpful, I really do. Okay. Berry bushes now require sunlight to grow and will take a penalty for being grown underground. It never even occurred to me to grow them underground. I wonder, there is an app where you can allow underground farming, or it's in the settings for the world actually. It's not an app. You can enable underground farming. I wonder if that will enable the berry bushes or whether it's just farms. That would be interesting. But apparently these need sunlight. I had always assumed that actually, but other people don't. And it says that young berry bushes can no longer mature when it's too cold for their mature variant to grow fruit. That makes sense. And fixed in 122 release candidate 5, recipes with tools were not consuming the tool durability at all. I have noticed that. I've done some smelting in my own world, and my tongs have only got 50 durability. They're wooden tongs, and it's not affecting them at all, even though I've used them quite a bit. So I've noticed that. Now, when you crash during snow shoveling, you would be stuck with a minus 40% walk speed reduction, and when you reconnect and try to use the snow shovel again, you would be kicked. That is a really bad one. I mean, it's difficult enough living in cold climates, but this one, oh my goodness, that is not good. So there we go. That's a good one to have sorted. And then there was another crash when opening the world settings screen on the vintage hosting dashboard. Another good one to sort out. Mannequins didn't accept arm wearables, so I presume they will now. And that's interesting because if you look up here, oh no, those are gloves, aren't they? So if we're going to creative menu again and look for a bracelet, here we go, a merchant bracelet. Okay, let's just check this. Let's see if you can accept this. Yes, ha ha, it works. Not that I thought it wouldn't. The rawhide tunic returned pelts rather than rawhides when using large and huge hides. Okay, that's been sorted. I really do like this rawhide tunic idea. And fixed new clothing sets, Centurion and Poppy had texture conflicts between footwear and waist wearables. My goodness. So one is called Centurion. Let's have a look. Oh, look. Centurion sandals. Oh my gosh. Those are gorgeous. Centurion shorts. Oh, of course, it's Roman, isn't it? What fun. What fun. Let's get the Centurion belt. I hadn't even looked at some of these new sets, but seeing as you mentioned them, so we've got Centurion shorts, Centurion tunic. I don't think, oh, look at this. Wow. Can we put the shoes on? Oh, we can. Oh my gosh, that's smart. Wow, well done, Anna. That's beautiful. And oh, that was really nice. And what is the other one? We've got the Centurion things. I got tied up in that. Right. Poppy. Let's have a quick look. We may not use it, but oh, look at this. Shoes, a cap. Oh, wow. A cape and a blouse. You know what? Shoes, cape, trousers. This one. It's just right. I am also going to need another mannequin. All right, let's put the shoes on the ground. Right, I can't resist this. Let's have a full mannequin because I want to see this set. I really do. Oh, I'd forgotten I was in creative. Right, let's pop another mannequin down. And this is just too good to miss. So we have the hat. Oh my gosh, look at this. These shoes. And there was a tunic with this, wasn't there? Oh, we can get the shoes on, yes. And this is the Poppy. That's gorgeous. And the sash, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Absolutely stunning. Wow, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Okay, well, that was this little side look at some of the new outfits, and I must say, they're both stunning. Absolutely stunning. Really lovely. Good job. Good job. Right, let's get back to this. Now, the berry bush cuttings would always take exactly 2 months to grow, instead of using the full range of 2 to 4 months. So now they're going to be a bit more variable. Occasionally, planting and growing berry bush cuttings could result in your berry bush displaying trait on the traits line unintentionally. Okay, that's been sorted out. And you can avoid the crash in entity item renderer. Always good to avoid a crash. Now they've fixed the multiplayer server may lock up during temporal storms. Oh my gosh, that's a nightmare, and 3Dilly has sorted that out, for which many thanks. In grid crafting, tool-based recipes, e.g. improvised wooden armour, could show less than full durability for the output item on the client side. Okay, that's been sorted. And theatre randomizer properly localised. And it said now ruined clay lamps had bad collision boxes. That's been fixed. Raw fish transferring their freshness when filleted has been fixed. And missing language settings for berry bush cuttings covered in snow. That's been fixed. They have added a neck hole to the pillory. Oh my gosh. Let's go up here and oh gosh, look at that ruined pillory. Oh I'm not that keen on that one. I'm not keen on the pillory, not the change. And they have fixed ground processing will now only process one item at a time instead of an entire stack. Well, that was a combination of what looked to me to be quite fundamental problems with the crashes, and I think a good job to have solved so much so soon. So, I mean, look at this, guys. I am really enjoying playing with this update, even though it's like learning a new game for me. I've been doing, playing the same sort of game for so long. This 1.22 is a whole different video game in my view. It's so different, and I am enjoying most of the changes. I am really enjoying most of the changes. So my friends, release candidate 6, we're on our way to a stable version. Bye bye. If you have enjoyed this, please leave a like and please consider subscribing to my channel. Goodbye my friends.